Hello, 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 my best bookies. Today I am making my February wrap-up. So this is all the books I read in February, every single 9 of them. So I read quite a few books this month, and I am very satisfied with myself. I'll admit one of them was for school, but that's still 8 books all by myself, so I'm quite proud of that. Yes, I am aware that the lighting is very sucky. I was supposed to upload on Saturday, and I'm sorry I didn't upload it on Saturday, but I was like, on Friday night, I was ready to edit, and I was about to go edit something, and I realized I don't have anything to edit, and I wasn't in a position where I was able to film. So I am filming now and just gonna film a bunch of videos and hope that I will never ever have to deal with not having a video to post again. But that's just me right now, yes. So anyway, back to my February wrap-up. First off, this month I read A List of Cages by Robin Roe. So this was a very, very popular novel back when it came out in January 2017, but I feel like it has lost hype. I read it for Battle of the Books, which is a 10-book program my high school does, and it is very awesome, by the way. So this follows 2 boys. They are ex-foster siblings, and they recently reunited in high school, Adam and Julian. Julian is kind of this quiet boy whose parents passed away a long time ago, and he is lost and troubled, kind of, and Adam is the boy that is all happy, and he's super peppy, and Adam kind of has to be Julian's counselor, in a way, counselor friend, and they meet up, and Adam realizes something really awful is happening inside Julian's home. This was a book that made me want to bawl my eyes out. It made me want to sign all the petitions that I get in my emails. It is a book about domestic violence, and it was so heartbreaking. Robin Roe writes this amazing tale, and it's so inspiring. The amount of quotable parts in this story was crazy. I just loved this novel, and it was so absolutely heartbreaking, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of it. Next up, I read This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. Quite the change of pace from my last book. So this is a science fiction, which is a genre I rarely reach for, but I actually enjoyed this one. I have enjoyed very few in the past, but I really liked this one. This follows a girl named Katerina Agata. Her father is pretty much the world's most famous hacker, and he has designed genetic codes to cure a lot of diseases, and there is this kind of plague going around the world where people like explode and like turn into cyclones. It's very complicated, but essentially you have to eat humans to get immune to that disease, and it is very dark and the world is dying. It's like the apocalypse, essentially. I explained that very badly, but it's a very intricately woven plot. It was a very, very good book. I believe it's the first in a trilogy. This Cruel Design is the sequel, and it's coming out mid-October, I believe. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of it. I am so excited. This Mortal Coil was awesome. One of the best sci-fis I have read in a long, long time. By the way, A List of Cages I gave 5 stars, and This Mortal Coil I gave 4 stars. Next up, we have Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. As you may have known from my past videos, the second I finished this book, this became my favorite trilogy of all time. This is the 3rd and final book in the Shadow and Bone, also known as Grishaverse trilogy. It was so amazing. Leigh Bardugo has the best writing style, like, ever. The main character is so amazing, so relatable. The romance in here is so awesome. Such an OTP. I loved this entire series. There wasn't a moment of it where I wanted to put any of the books down. It's so amazing. I would reread this day after day if I could. Such a great series, and this was an amazing wrap-up. I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely awesome, fantastical world and novel. And it was just a great, great book. Totally the best of the month. Next, I read a book that a lot of people have been wanting me to read for a long time because it is very, very popular, very acclaimed, very famous, and that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. So this is a pretty thick, nice historical fiction novel that takes place in World War II, and it follows this girl, Liesel, who has just been given up for foster parents after she lost her brother, and she grows up in this awesome household. She's got this great father, this awful mother that is actually great on the inside. It's kind of complicated. I loved every character in this novel. She has this friend named Rudy. It was such an amazing novel. I watched the movie shortly after, and it was great. The ending of this novel absolutely killed me. They take in a Jewish man and try to hide him throughout the course of this novel as well, and she has to hide that from everybody she knows at school and that kind of thing. It is a very deep novel, and it's actually told from the perspective of death. And death has a really interesting viewpoint on everything, you learn that, according to Marcus Zusak, death sees the world in colors. So when he picks up souls and carries them away to heaven, he sees colors. And I think that was so cool, so symbolic. What a great novel. It was absolutely amazing. One of the best historical fictions I've ever read. I loved this book, I loved the movie, and it was just amazing. Can't wait to pick up I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak, and I gave this novel 5 stars as well. Next, I read How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. This was another historical fiction. So this follows the descendants of the Salem witch trials and the major families that were involved in that. So apparently the main character realizes there's this curse when at least one member of all the major witch trials families are in Salem, one of the descendants of the major families. They all just start dying like crazy, and it's this very ghastly and really cool plot. It had great potential. It was a very good plot. I enjoyed the plot. That was probably why I kept reading it. And it had a very good plot twist at the end, which I could really appreciate. However, I didn't really like anything else about it. It was, the writing style was kind of weird. I didn't find the main character enjoyable. Her name was Samantha Mather, and I found she was this annoying, rich, preppy girl who was very selfish, and I think she treated a lot of people in her life very wrong, and I don't tend to like when that happens in books. It just wasn't a great book. It had very big potential, and it was a great plot, but I didn't really like much else about it, so I won't be reading the sequel, Haunting the Deep. I gave this 2 stars. Next, I read yet another historical fiction, A Night Divided by Jennifer A. Nielsen. I read like 3 historical fictions in a row because I was all just like, yes, this is happening. And this was another amazing historical fiction. I got this blind date with a book thing at my school, so they essentially draw you and they give you a gift wrapped book, but you kind of get to choose the genre, and I was like, give me a historical fiction, and they gave me this one, and it is about the Berlin Wall. It was absolutely amazing. I was kind of just expecting a cool middle grade, but then I looked up Jennifer A. Nielsen, and she has some famous series out there. The Traitors Game is coming out this year, and that is a very much looked forward to release, so I'm excited for that. This was a great book. It follows a girl and her family, and they live in Germany right after World War II ended, so of course there's the Berlin Wall and all of that going on, and her father and one of her brothers went over to the west side of Germany to see what life was like there, but while they were there, the wall was put up, so her mother, herself, and her brother got separated from her father and her other brother, and 4 years later, they finally see each other from over the wall, and they try to escape to each other, and it is this crazy, tension-packed book that just had me sitting on the edge of my seat, like, are they going to get discovered? Are they going to die? Like, it was just so much, and it was an awesome historical fiction novel. I have never read anything about the Berlin Wall or the Germany Cold War before, and it was so good. Absolutely awesome novel. Jennifer A. Nielsen's writing was so great. I would recommend this to anybody who loves a good middle grade, who loves a good historical fiction. It was awesome. I gave that 5 stars again. I had a great reading month. Next up, I read The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. I have a signed copy of this book because this came in the February uppercase box, and this just came out February 6th. I enjoyed this more than I was expecting to. I wasn't expecting to really love it. I haven't heard any great reviews about it, but it came in the uppercase box, which means this woman named Lisa really loved it, and I read her Goodreads review. She did enjoy it, so I was excited to pick it up. Plus, it was a very cool world and like story and main character. So it takes place in this world where there are 2 countries, Mevana and Valenia. And Valenia is supposed to be this thing called, Mevana is supposed to be a queen's realm, so it's supposed to be ruled over by a queen. However, years ago, one of the 14 districts of Mevana took over the capital kind of thing, and a king became the ruler, and he is an awful person and just a cruel leader. So Valenia has been trying to get a queen back on Mevana's throne, and Brianna becomes one of those people that helps them do that. It's a lot deeper than that. There are these things called passions, which take up a lot of the story. And the beginning is, like, the first 160 pages, good chunk of the novel, are about something completely different than the rest of the novel is. This is supposed to be the first in a trilogy, I believe. However, it had an incredibly satisfying ending. So I would be totally fine if there weren't a sequel, but on Goodreads it says it's the first in an untitled trilogy. So I'm expecting a second, but I don't really know anything about it. I enjoyed this quite a good bit. I gave it 4.5 stars. I had a few issues with it, but they were very slight. And overall, I really enjoyed this. There will be a full video review to come soon, simply because it is in uppercase. But I am hoping for a sequel, despite the fact that I would be okay if there weren't one. Next, I read Posted, which I believe is by John David Anderson, but I could have that author name wrong. I audiobooked this one because I just wanted an audiobook, and it was a very, very fun little read. It was a nice middle grade contemporary. It was one of those ones where you're thinking it's just going to be kind of a cute, cheesy read, and it was actually very deep, and it really went in depth about a lot of social problems we kind of have. And it talked about bullying, it talked about social media and phones and using them in school, and it talked about bullying, and it was, I already said that, but that was what a lot of the book focused on. And it talked about peer pressure. It was a very, very deep novel, and it follows this boy who has this really tight friend group, and this girl comes to school, and she kind of becomes friends with one of them and weeds her way into the group. And that, of course, disrupts all of his social society and life, and at the same time, phones have been banned from school, so everybody's using Post-it notes to communicate with each other. And so the school is just filled with Post-it notes, some nice, some not so nice. So there is bullying, there is friend drama, there is gossip. It was a great, great novel. Didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I gave it 4 stars. Another awesome read for this month. Hey guys, I'm back again. Sorry about that change. I'm filming this on a different day. I'm sorry, I had this weird technological thing, but sorry about the new lighting and the new clothes. Next was Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. This was the one I was required to read for school, but nonetheless, I did enjoy it. The writing style is probably my least favorite part. It had a great plot, great twists, a great summary, great thing. But he switched back and forth between third and second person in a way that was a bit off-putting, as well as being sarcastic in his writing, which was a bit confusing. However, I was not fazed by the unmodern writing, which may be what you're thinking, but that was not true. I gave it a 3.5 stars. Then some quick facts about this month. I read 9 books this month, the most read genre being historical fiction. My longest book was Oliver Twist, shortest, A Night Divided, least favorite, How to Hang a Witch, favorite, Ruin and Rising, and all the books I read, A List of Cages, This Mortal Coil, Ruin and Rising, The Book Thief, How to Hang a Witch, A Night Divided, A Queen's Rising, just kidding, that's The Queen's Rising, so, The Queen's Rising, Oliver Twist, and Posted. Alright guys, I will see you soon with another video.